What's up guys, it's Ivan, and today I wanted to share with you my strategy for submitting a writing sample for a PhD program. Back in 2020, I applied to 10 PhD programs and only 2 programs required a writing sample. Both programs had different requirements for their writing sample. For example, the University of California, San Diego, they didn't have a page limit. All they wanted me to submit was the best writing that I have done in a scholarly sense. The example that I'm going to show you today is actually from the University of Texas, Austin, for their PhD in Higher Education Leadership and Policy. And this program particularly asked for a shorter writing sample, submission of a 4 to 6 page writing sample. Then they give you examples of things that you could submit. So they say master's thesis, published article, paper prepared for a professional conference, etc. So I opted to submit something that wasn't on that list. So I actually submitted a 6-page document of one of my final papers for my master's program, which I did at Harvard. And so I chose this piece because I wanted to show the committee that I can write about the current literature or the theory, but also apply it in practice. And I'll show you a little bit about what that means when I show you the writing sample. But really why I chose to showcase theory to practice was because this program did emphasize the theory to practice. So in the PhD, I was gonna take courses to learn about theory, but the main goal of the program was for me to apply it in practice in higher education leadership or in policy. And so that's why I chose to submit the piece I chose to submit for the writing sample. So for the instructions of the writing sample, they said to submit a 4 to 6 page document. It didn't specify if it was double space or single space. So I actually emailed the admissions office of the program to ask that question, and they said double spaced. So I only had up to 6 pages double spaced to write and submit my writing sample. And so really what I did was I took a chunk of my longer paper. So the paper that I submitted for my final at Harvard was actually around 20 pages. So I had to condense that or choose specific sections to send to the program as my writing sample. So I chose 2 sections for my previous work that I submitted. So I chose the research section as well as a section I titled Proposed Program and Implementation Strategies. Again, the theory to practice. I'm not going to read through the actual content because it's not as important in terms of what I want you to gain from this video. So what I want you to gain from this video is to be strategic with what you submit when you have limited page counts. And to do this, you have to understand what a PhD entails. So a PhD is a research degree. So you want to show the committee some way in which you have interacted with the current literature, preferably in your field. Doesn't have to be in your field, but showcase that you can think critically or put pieces together in terms of literature, and then you can bring a new perspective to that field. And that's why I chose to submit my research section of my previous work, was because in that research section I broke it down into 3 different areas that focused on the work. So I was able to show the committee, here's what I have read in the literature, here's how I interpreted that knowledge, and here's why it's important to this piece here, and how I bring this as a new perspective, how I'm using the current literature and expanding it with the way that I'm implementing it in practice, etc. Right? So you want to show the committee how you are thinking at a scholarly level, at a PhD level, and the way you do that is by showcasing that you understand the content in your field and that you're able to put it together and put it in conversation with each other, and that you're able to showcase a new perspective that you might want to further pursue in your PhD program. That's why I chose the research section to submit as my writing sample. And so as you can see, I have 3 sections, one titled Defining Father and Father Figures. This piece was about including Latino fathers in middle schools, really, to advance the success of Latino male children in middle school. So that was the premise of this paper that I wrote. Then I have a section called the Hispanic Latino Father. So what does the literature say about that? Then I had a section titled Hispanic Latino Father Parental Involvement. So what does the literature say about that field? field there. And that was it. So I was really trying to, shape the Latino father engagement piece because the rest of my paper was about that topic. The second thing that I want you to understand about your PhD program is what is its mission. So the mission of this program at the University of Texas, Austin was to put theory into practice, particularly higher education leadership and policy. And so I wanted to showcase that practice piece based on the literature in the second section. So the second section is titled Proposed Program and Implementation Strategies. And in here, what I did was I had different things that schools could implement based on the literature. So I had a section on, initial launch events. So how would we bring forth Latino fathers into the middle school? So in the practical sense, what I recommended for the school to implement at their school, right? So I had a bunch of those sections. I had home visits. I had some challenges they might encounter, classroom presentations, school staff visits to fathers' workplaces. And so those are ways that I thought that the middle school could incorporate the Latino father into their school curriculum, into their family engagement plan. And so I really wanted to showcase that, I had some type of leadership component in not only my practical experience, but also my writing, because the program was focused on theory to practice. So it's really important that you understand what the mission of the program is and use that information to your advantage. You find that information on their web pages or by talking to alumni, staff, faculty, or current students. So go do your homework and incorporate those nuggets into your entire PhD application. One of the things that I wish I would have done differently for this application was written some type of introduction to the piece. As a reader, when I reread it, I knew the topic. I knew the larger paper, right? Because I obviously wrote it. But the committee didn't get that context. So I could assume that maybe the committee was confused as to why I chose this piece. And so I wish I would have written some type of short, maybe paragraph long introduction explaining what we're gonna read further, explaining that this was part of a larger paper where I wrote for one of my courses at Harvard. So I wish I would have written an introduction to the piece to provide a little bit of context. Some other tips that I have for you about writing samples, especially if they're short, definitely put in-text citations. That's gonna show the reader that you know the field, that you're reading the most current scholarship on that topic. And if your writing sample relates to the program you're applying to, the faculty and the committee, they might recognize some of these scholars that you're citing. So it's gonna give you a leg up because they know that you know what the current literature says in your particular field. Alright guys, I hope this video really helped enlighten you about how to tackle the writing sample for your PhD applications. If you have any questions, place those down in the comments down below and I will answer them as soon as I get them. I also have another video where I share my writing sample for the other PhD program that I actually got accepted into, the University of California, San Diego, which you can find in the link down below in the description. Thank you for watching this video and I will see you in the next video.